Week 7 Fantasy Football Report. I'm the commish, and we're reporting live from the Nati's Finest Studios. It's Thursday, and if you don't know, we have a game between the Seahawks and the 49ers tonight. Off the top of my head, if you have Gore, Lynch, Davis, Akers, or the 49ers defense, and they're on your squad and they're not in your starting lineup, you need to get them in there ASAP. That's just some advice coming from the commish. Actually, it's not really advice if it's a must. Write that down. I like that. It's not really advice if it's a must, if it has to be. I like that. Okay, as always, we've got a ton of news to report to you after the last 2 weeks. There's been a lot of changes in the league. We'll begin with last week's matchups. Of course, the weekly awards update, followed by this week, Week 7's matchups. The commission's game of the week is included in that, as always. I'll also be taking some calls this week from a few of the fans out there that just wants to know what's going on with the Nati's Finest and whatnot. And then, we'll always finish up with the standings and the infamous Nati's Finest Power Rankings. Let's take a quick break. The commission will return after these messages with all that and more. It's the commission, Nati's Finest Studios. We'll be right back.
It's Monday.
167.
And Rick is filled with fantasy football pride from a successful Sunday. So he's feeling pretty good.
Here's your coffee, Rick.
But he overlooked Monday Night Football, where Clarence has 2 players to go. So he comes back to reality.
Made your coffee.
So reserve your fantasy smack for Tuesday morning, because it all comes down to Monday night.
Welcome back. Let's recap last week's matchups. Starting out first with MF Jones versus Dim Boys. Really wasn't a matchup. Matt Ryan had 3 interceptions for Dim Boys. Didn't put up his normal 20, 30 plus points. Ponder a solid pickup and play for franchise. Putting up 28 points. Got to give you the thumbs up from over here from the commish. But you did have RG3 on your bench putting up 48. Luck turns out you did win the game and didn't need those points. Keep it moving, though. Gully versus EA Sports. Tom Brady putting up 31 was just too much for EA Sports. He does have he's having a lot of points scoring on him this year. But you're not going to get it done with Matt Schaub and Lynch only putting up 10 points total between the both of them. You need to do better. Woe Dare versus America's Team. Solid performance by Woe Dare with Dalton, Green, and Jordy Nelson all putting up 40 plus points. Oh, America's Team had no chance. I don't even know what points they had, but with them 3 putting up 40, that's 120 between the 3 of them. That's just blasphemy. It's crazy. Let's keep it moving to You Just Got Mossed versus If You Ain't First, You're Last. A-Rod and 6 touchdowns. That's enough said. I'm not going to touch any more upon that game. 6 touchdowns for A-Rod. You already know who won. Let me back up a second. I should mention this is like the 3rd or 4th straight week for If You're Not First, You're Last, benching a player that's putting up 20 plus points. This has been an ongoing thing for them. When are they going to make the correct lineup with all the big hitters? That's maybe why they're 2-4. We'll keep it moving on that note. The Whole Effing Show versus So Fucking Legit. Big game here. 50 points will not win you anything. The show, you got to do better now. You were the champ last year. Obviously, you know that. I'm not telling you anything new, but 50 points will not get it done. You need to make some changes, and you need to make them quick. All right? It's coming from the commission. The Rook versus the Wildcats. Relatively close game. One of the closest we had last week, actually. Wildcats finally put a big game and showed what their team can actually do. We'll see if that continues to the future. I like their team. I like it on paper a lot. Weekly awards. I'll just recap, go through the week 1, went to the Rook for most team points. Week 2 was most player points, went to If You're Not First, You're Not Last. Week 3 was highest points by quarterback, went to So Fucking Legit. And week 4 was highest by a running back, which went to You Just Got Mossed, Michael Turner. Big week. Week 5 was highest points by a wide receiver, Marquise Colston from So Fucking Legit. Week 6, highest points by a tight end. I have to make a note here. It would have gone to Gresham if he was started by Woe Dare. Unfortunately, he was on his bench. and it went to You Got Moss with Antonio Gates. So picked up $20. I think he's got 40 on the season. So you need to watch those players. You want to get in your starting lineup to win those $20. Week 7 will be highest points by defense. So I know the 49ers are out there tonight. Seahawks may be in the starting lineup tonight. Who knows? Highest defense, $20. Get you some free agent money. Get some of your league fees back. That's straight from the commission, Natty's Fine Studios, into your pocket. Speaking of Week 7, let's get into this week's matchups. A lot of big ones. Starting off with them boys sitting at 3-3 versus the Rook. The Rook needs this game relatively badly, sitting at 2-4. He's at the bottom of the standings. Obviously, he was in the Super Bowl last year. I just don't see him getting this game, barring his injuries and his quarterback confusion. I think he's going to need various 20-point efforts from a few of his guys to even be in the chance for this game. But I like the matchups. EA Sports versus MF Jones. EA Sports sitting at 2-4. MF Jones sitting at 3-3. I like EA Sports. I like his team. I like his wide receivers, obviously. I just can't pick against MF Jones with what RG3 is doing this year. Hopefully he has him in his starting lineup. I'm sure he does this week. So I just can't bet against him, with his running ability, Cam Newton-esque last year. So we'll see how it goes. America's team, 3-3 versus Gully, 4-2. Should be a good game. As long as Gully's players are questionable, Bradshaw, he's got some big ones. Bradshaw and Trent Richardson. I just can't pick his team. So I'm going to go with America's team. If those players are healthy, I can slide back over to Gully. But, if not, I'm going to side with America's team. Next, we have up If You Ain't First, You're Last versus Whoa There, sitting at 3-3. If You're Not First, You're Last, sitting at 2-4. Whoa There's been on a roll lately. His opponents haven't been able to have, solid starting lineups. So I'm gonna go with Whoa There, but I like If You Ain't First, You're Not Last this week. Just a hunch that's coming from the commish. I wouldn't bet on him, but I do like him this week. Wildcats versus the whole effing show. Each team needs to win badly. Wildcats are 3-3. I guess they don't need to win too badly, but they want to stay at 500 or above. The whole effing show is under 500. Another close matchup, maybe too close to call. I'm not going to reveal anything right now. That's going to be a game I like to just watch and follow. As for the commission's GOW, the game of the week, so fucking legit, sitting at 4-2. You Just Got Moss, first place team, sitting at 5-1. A lot of players in the bye week for You Just Got Moss. We got 4 out of your starting lineup: Turner, Bo, Gates, and McGahee all in the bye. I'm gonna see who you're picking up this week, man. I gotta roll with so fucking legit just on that reason. Of course, A-Rod those 6 touchdowns again. I'll have to take that back, but I doubt he does it. Let's take a quick break. We'll take a few calls from the Natty's Finest hotline when we return, as well as look at this week's standings and the always infamous Natty's Finest Power Rankings. It's the commish, Natty's Finest Studios. We'll be right back.
Well, I think they're going to try, and it's really important that they do. All of a sudden there really have been questions about this defense, which is ranked 21st. Not having Benson is going to hurt. I had an interesting talk with offensive coordinator Tom Did you guys just see that football?
I saw it.
Anyway, I had an interesting talk with offensive coordinator Tom Clements a couple weeks ago, and he stressed the importance of carries, as in carries leading to wins. That's really what this team is going to try to do, except...
And we're back. It's Natty's Finest Studios. Do we have a few calls on the hotline? Okay, let's take a few calls from our Natty's Finest hotline, brought to you by Android, where if your phone's not smarter than you, then you've got a problem. Caller, are you there?
Hey, Commish, first time caller, long time listener. Gotta say, I really love your show.
Thanks.
Wanted to touch base upon the 2 last year's Super Bowl champs, the Rook and the whole effing show. What do you think is wrong with them this year? And do you think they'll pick it back up after these slow starts? I think they're both 2-4. They were the Super Bowl. Super Bowl teams last year. Do you think they're gonna have a chance to make it there this year? Thanks a lot, Commish. Keep doing what you're doing.
Well, let me start by saying, there is such a thing as a Super Bowl hanger, and clearly both teams are in this, hangover period. To tell you the truth, the Rooks team is not all that bad. I liked his team. I like his draft, barring the Cam Newton selection in the first round. I think his team will be in the running at the end of the year when we're choosing playoff teams, when you're trying to get those seeds for the playoffs. The whole effing show, on the other hand, their squad, I look at them and don't see any names except Drew Brees, obviously, at the top, the quarterback. But he's on a losing team. It just doesn't look good for the show this year. If you recall EA Sports last year, after winning the Super Bowl 2 years ago, I think the whole effing show is having a similar season and going to have the same type of season EA Sports did. I hate to say it. I know you don't want to hear it, but, I think it's going to happen. And, for all the guys out there, shed a tear for these guys, man. It just doesn't look good for the whole effing show. Okay, do we have another caller out there? We do. Okay, caller, go ahead.
Hey, Commish, just really wanted to let you know, love your show.
Thanks, we appreciate it here.
Listen to you every day. Hey, I wanted to talk about the Wildcats, and they seem to be like they need a quarterback, and they're really wanting to get rid of Chris Johnson. Do you think they have any chance in getting a QB to complete their team? And what do you think Chris Johnson's status is right now and until the end of the season? Thanks, Commish. Love your show.
All right, let me start off by saying the Wildcats team is legit. Don't let the record fool you guys. I've been saying this for a while now. You got Ray Rice, MJD, and Chris Johnson all in the same squad. Arguably, all first-round draft picks. All could be number one running backs, arguably. I don't see his team needing to do too much. He can address the quarterback issue, but I just don't think marketing Chris Johnson for a top-tier quarterback is feasible. Marketing Chris Johnson is almost like marketing his name, not his stats. He's done literally nothing this year. I don't even think he's a top 15 running back. How do you expect to get a top 15, top 10, top 5 quarterback for this gentleman? I just don't see it happening. That's all I've got to say on that. Thanks for your call, caller. We appreciate it at the Natty's Finest Studios. And I'd like to thank all the callers. We'll start taking more of our fans. We always like to hear what our fans have to say out here. At this time, I'd like to take a look at the standings through week 6 thus far. A lot of movement. Finally, after 6 weeks, we've got some separation at the top and the bottom of the standings. You just got Moss clearly the front runner, sitting at 5-1 with So Fucking Legit and Gully 1 game back. Slew of teams sitting at 3-3, and at the bottom, there are actually a few teams. The Rook, the whole effing show, and wait for it. If you're not first, you're last. I guess the name, tells it all. So we'll see if that changes. I do think it will change. There's still a lot that can happen. It is only week 7. There are 7 more games to play. So relax. Don't get too, high. Don't get too low. There's still a lot of fantasy football to be played. Okay, it's about that time, people. It's what you've been waiting for. The Natty's Finest Power Rankings, brought to you by the great people here at the Natty's Finest Studios. Here we go.
Week 7 Power Rankings, brought to you by Natty's Finest Studios. 1, you got Moss. 2, Gully. 3, So Fucking Legit. 4, MF Jones. 5, Whoa There. 6, Dim Boys. 7, America's Team. 8, The Wildcats. 9, EA Sports. 10, The Rook. 11, If You Ain't First, You're Last. And 12, The Whole Effing Show.
Well, that about wraps this week's report up. I'm the commish. Good luck to all the fantasy owners out there this week. And as always, may the odds be ever in your favor. It's Commish, Natty's Finest Studios. I'm out. Peace.